Hello. Let me just. Where am I? So, as you jump on, please leave me a comment to say you're here. Hey, Kelly. Can you see everything okay? You should be able to see some slides. Hello. It doesn't. I can see that there's two of you. I know that I can see that there's Kelly and someone else, but it's not told me what the second person's name is. So, but hi. I'm just going to give it another couple of minutes. Hey, Rachel, because tech hasn't gone to plan quite today. So I had a blog post that was meant. Oh, hey, Karen. Excuse me. I had a blog post that was meant to go live this morning, and when I went in to check where it was, it just said it missed schedule. And I didn't think to double check that this screen, that this page had also missed its schedule, but it had. So I'm sat here thinking, oh no, 5 minutes to go. What if people have been and seen that actually there's nothing here, there's no page here, and just wandered off. So yeah, I'll just give it another couple more minutes. How are we today, people? How are we doing? My husband was meant to have left the house during this for me. But he's currently on hold to Manchester United Football Club to see if he can get himself a season ticket. So, and he has been for a good couple of hours now. So that's how my day's going. Husband under my feet, but all looking good. Right. I'll get started. And people can always catch it up on replay. I think they can catch it up on replay. It's the first time I've ever done this kind of webinar. So as you can see, I've got a YouTube live video embedded in a page. We'll just see how it goes. You should also have seen a picture of me in the corner, but it's not 100% necessary to the content, is it? I'm sure most of you know what I look like. So if it does, I'm just going to chuck a little intro in case it is available for replay. So in this online masterclass, we're going to look at the 3 simple steps to build a website for your biz in a weekend. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Kim, and I help women with WordPress so that they can focus on running their blogs and their businesses. So what are the 3 simple steps? First of all, you need to choose a platform. So what is the thing that you're going to use to make your website? Because if you're looking for help to build it, I'm going to guess that you're not a developer, so you're not going to go and write your own from scratch. So you'll need something that helps you put it together. You'll also need to choose a name and a home for it. So you'll need to choose the name that you want to put in your URL. And you'll also need to choose where you're going to save the files for your website. Now, that might sound a little bit techy, but don't worry. I'll explain it more as we go through. And then the really exciting bit is to build it. And literally, that's it. 3 simple steps. You need to choose what it is you're going to build it with, what you want to call it, and where it's going to live, and then get started building it. So I'm a little bit biased because I'm going to say use WordPress. Use WordPress every single time. And the reason I say use WordPress, well, there are several. It's widely used. Plugins are awesome. Search engine optimization, cost, and e-commerce options. So I'm going to go through these one by one. So WordPress powers a third of the entire internet. That's like 75 million websites. And you kind of think, well, if people have chosen to build 75 million websites with it, it must be half decent, right? But there are a few other advantages for it being so widely used. So the fact that so many people use it means that there's loads and loads of help and tutorials out there if you get stuck with something. So there's a load of blogs just like mine. There are a load of like people that you can pay to fix things, to do things, to implement different features. So it's really, really easy to find support online. You know, if you have a problem with WordPress, chances are you're not going to be the first person to have had that problem. And so it's likely to be pretty well documented online. Excuse me. And if down the line you decide that you need a bit of, if further down the line you decide that you need a bit of help, so whether it gets to a point where you need to focus on, you know, being more strategic with your business or being a bit more creative, and you want to hire a freelancer or a virtual assistant to look after your site, to make changes to it, you know, there are loads and loads of people with WordPress experience out there who will be able to help you. And then we've got plugins. So plugins are little apps that add extra features to your website. They can be things like to add security, to add social media sharing buttons, to add social media feeds to your site, and even there are specialist plugins to help you make sure that you've nailed your search engine optimization as well, which I'm going to talk about in the next slide. There are over 55,000 WordPress plugins around. So chances are there will be a plugin somewhere that does the thing that you want to add to your site. And not only that, there are loads of free ones as well. I haven't paid anything more than £15 for a plugin up until this week, actually. And I've been using WordPress for about 3 years now, coming up to 3.5 years. And I've only ever paid for 2 plugins. And one actually was just to add some nice pop-ups to my site. But you'll also find that there are loads of options to upgrade to paid versions from the free versions as well. So there's a plugin that I use to take manual backups of my site, and you know, it's pretty decent as it is. It's free, but if I want some extra features for it, I could upgrade to the paid version. So like there are loads and loads of options when it comes. There are loads and loads of options out there when it comes to plugins. So next we've got search engine optimization. Now this is the biggie. You know, if you're setting up a website for your business, you want to make sure that you're found. You want to make sure that when people sit down, whether it's on their phones or their computers, and they type into Google the thing that they're looking for, you need to make sure that your site is optimized for them to be able to find you, for Google to be able to find you. And WordPress is one of the top platforms around for helping you optimize your site for search engine. Now, I'm not going to go into great detail about what search engine optimization is, but suffice to say, a lot of it revolves around getting the keywords that you want to rank for. So the keywords that you want to appear in search results when people type them into Google, you need to get them in the right places. So it'll be things like the file names for your images that you add to your site, the alternative text, the alternative text fields that are descriptions of the images that you add to your screens, that are there to help visually impaired people with their screen readers. You'll want to get your keywords in the URLs as well, and loads more. I mean, that's a really brief overview of search engine optimization, but WordPress is a really fab platform for that. Cost. Now, if you're a small business in the really early days, chances are you're not going to have bags and bags of cash to fork out, for a website. It just doesn't happen. And this is why WordPress is a really, really great platform for new businesses and new websites. It's so cheap to start a website. First off, you'd need a domain name, which I'm going to talk about later on, and they cost as little as 99p from sites like Namecheap and domain.com. And WordPress hosting, which I'm also going to explain a little bit later on, starts from as little as £5 a month. So you could technically start a WordPress site for £6. That's pretty cheap. If you went to another platform like Wix, you'd have to pay a bigger monthly fee than that up front. So it's a great option for beginners and, more, what's the word? I almost had it then. I'm going to say seasoned businesses, but not really. That's not what I want to say. More bigger businesses that have been around a bit longer. I'm not going to sit around and wait for my brain to catch up. And lastly, e-commerce solutions. So if you're looking to set up a site for your business, you're going to have something to sell, whether that's physical products, downloadable products, whether you want to set up an online course or a membership site. You've got all these options available to you if you use WordPress. So I've listed, WooCommerce is the daddy when it comes to setting up a shop on your site, and you can sell physical or virtual products and your services. Then we've got things like MemberPress that will set up members only areas on your site. So people will have to have registered and then be logged in for them to access them. And then things like easy digital downloads if all you sell is digital products. And then there's LearnDash for online courses as well. So if you want to set up an online course on your site, LearnDash is the one, although it is a bit on the pricey side, but there are alternatives for that as well. So e-commerce, is the reason that we're in business, right? It's the reason we need websites for our businesses, because we need to sell stuff. So step 2, let me go back, is what I kind of call like the prep phase. So you need to work out what you're going to call your website and where it's going to live. So when it comes to what you're going to call your website, we're talking about domain names, and where it's going to live, we're going to talk about hosting. So I've got a little diagram here that shows you which part of the URL I'm talking about when I talk about domain name. So I'm not going to go into any great detail about the HTTPS and the www.bit, but when I'm talking about domain name, and in this example I'm using my own site, I'm talking about the bit that says thebloggenie.com. So what these do is they point to a special address on the internet where the files for your website live, which leads us to hosting. No. Before I head over to hosting, I'm going to talk about choosing domain names. Now, you need to make sure that your domain name is memorable. You don't want people to forget what it was your website name is 10 minutes after you've told them what it was, or 10 minutes after they've seen it written down somewhere. You want people to keep coming back to your site So you want to make sure that the domain name is memorable. I mean, Google is a really memorable name. And it's really easy to say as well. So you don't want it to take half an hour for you to tell someone what your domain name is. You don't want it to be the dash blog dash genie.com, or probably or anything longer than that. People haven't got, well, you've not got time to spend all day telling people what your really complex domain name is, and people haven't got time to either listen to you tell them and then go and try and remember and type it in, which brings us to making domain names easy to type, because the last thing you want is for people to get frustrated that they can't land on your site because your domain name is so damn difficult to type, and for them to just go to one of your competitors. And the last one is one that I'm a little bit guilty of myself. So when I first set up the bloggenie.com, my ideal readers my ideal clients were going to be bloggers. I was going to be the person that helped bloggers with all their tech help. But actually, I now help online businesses as well. And I say online businesses, but women with other kinds of businesses, which is great for people who know me and know my brand. But when I meet new people or people see my name for the first time, they kind of assume that actually I write blogs, and I couldn't possibly help them at all. So learn from my mistakes and try and make sure your domain names are future proof. So for example, if you might start a website where you talk about, I don't know, life in Cape Town. It might be an idea to include South Africa in your domain name rather than Cape Town, in case you decide to expand in the future. But it's not the be all and end all. It happens. You can't say for certain which way your business is going to go. What exactly your business will be doing in 5 years' time. I mean, best laid plans and all that. You'll know what you want it to be doing what you want for it to be doing right now in 5 years' time. But businesses evolve just as life changes and we as people evolve. So don't let that one keep you up at night. So then we come to hosting. Now, literally all a host is, in the simplest kind of way to explain it, is it's a set of computers that are often called servers because they serve files that hold files for different websites so that people can access them using their web browsers. So every server on the internet will have, every computer connected to the internet will have a special address allocated to it called an IP address. And to you and me, it just looks like a set of numbers with a few dots in there. But actually, what happens is, once you've set up a website and you've bought your domain name, you will then point your domain name to the address of your host, so the address of the computer that holds all your files, so that when people type your domain name in the address bar, it will take them to the files that belong to your website. Is everyone with me so far? I've just realised that I'm probably rambling on a little bit. And I had to get my husband to read through my slides and things yesterday, because I kind of oh good, because sometimes I kind of forget that not everyone is at my level, and what seems obvious to me and might not seem as obvious to to you, and then throw in my ramblings. It's not always a recipe for success. But Kelly says she's with me, and I'm going to take that, people. So when it comes to choosing a host, there are there are more than three, but the main three things that you need to look for: customer service, cost, and reliability. Now, I'm pretty sure you will have heard of the brand new hosting company, Lyrical Host, who are fabulous. I've recently taken out a new hosting plan with them myself for a project that I've got coming up, and they are literally they're just brilliant. They're always there at the end of Facebook Messenger or a support ticket. They're really, really helpful, and they actually, they go beyond what's needed, what's usually expected from a host. I've been indirectly dealing with a different host recently called one.com, who host they won't be hosting my mum's site for very much longer. I've had a lot on this week, so I've not actually been able to support her and her website. It was hacked a couple of weeks ago, and all I wanted them to do was to tell me exactly what the problem was so that I could go and fix it. And basically, they just kept fobbing my mum off with a load of different links to articles that she didn't understand, and I didn't have the time to go through and diagnose the problems for her. So next week I will be moving her to my other host, SiteGround. So customer service is a really, really important thing, especially if you don't have a tech background, because you could end up pretty much lost. My mum would be totally lost right now with her terrible host one.com if she didn't have me to kind of hold her hand and tell her that they're taking her for a ride. Cost is a difficult one, because when it comes to hosting, you get what you pay for. So you might think, oh wow, I can get this hosting for like £3 a month, and it's like, well, great, but what actually are you getting for that £3 a month? I know that there are some cheap hosts that experience a lot of downtime, which kind of relates to reliability, where you want a host that does their utmost to make sure that your site has no downtime. They need to be reliable. My host, one of my hosts, SiteGround, since I started using them 2 years ago, they've not had any downtime whatsoever. But they do cost a little bit more than your average host. So I'm not saying go out and spend £30 a month on hosting if you can't afford it. In the early days, you've got to balance your own budget with what's available out there. So try and find the best of both worlds, really. You need to find the best hosting you can for the budget you've got. And I covered reliability. Like I said, you want to make sure that your host can guarantee that your site's going to be up most of the time. So I would say you probably I personally wouldn't bother with a host that has less than 10%. It has more than 10% downtime, because your site's not going to be available when your customers want to access it. So that's hosting. I hope you're all still with me and not falling asleep. I realise it's mid-afternoon and it's prime afternoon nap time. So then we get to step 3, which is the really, really cool, interesting bit, and that's what I'm calling WordPress Mastery. I love WordPress, and if this is the first time that you've heard me talk about WordPress, I promise that I just love WordPress. I just think it's great. I'm not really this crazy, or I don't want you to think I'm this crazy yet. Anyway, so early in our friendship, in whatever this is. So there are lots of components. Probably sounds a little bit too techy, but there's a load of cogs that help the WordPress machine work. So we've got things like themes, plugins, and content. Plugins I talked about a little bit earlier on, and I'm going to talk about them again now because they're just that wonderful. So, themes. Themes are literally a set of files that tell browsers, so Internet Explorer, Chrome, Firefox, Safari, how to display the content on your website. So a theme will decide where your header goes, whether you have a footer, whether you have a sidebar, on which side your sidebar is, all that kind of stuff. Layout, colors you set via your theme. And when I get a lot of people like asking, if they change their theme, will they lose all their website content? And so when people ask me that question, I tend to use the decorating a room analogy. So if you think about when you're decorating a room, you've got walls, which is the content that makes up your website. So any different pages, so a home page or a blog page, different blog posts, all that kind of stuff. They're the equivalent to walls, and they're always there unless you take a sledgehammer to them. Unless you manually go and get rid. And the theme is like the wallpaper or the paint that you use on those walls. So you can redecorate as much as you want. You can change your wallpaper. You can decide to paint it. Your walls will always be there, like I said, unless you physically go and do something to them. So that's themes. And there are loads and loads of themes around. I don't know quite exactly how many themes there are, but I reckon it's probably in the same kind of region as WordPress plugins. We're talking tens of thousands of themes around. And even though it's nice to have choice, it can make it a bit overwhelming and really difficult for you to work out which theme you want. So a few things to bear in mind is, again, support and documentation. So you want to know, sorry, I'm just moving my notes. You want to know that if you have a problem with your site, with your theme, if you can't quite get it to do something, that there is some support or at least some really good documentation around to help you through it. Usually good support and good documentation comes with a paid for theme, which early on isn't always possible. So so early on you might not have the budget to pay for a theme, and that's totally fine. Not everyone does. For a good 18 months, I was using a free theme on my site. And, there are a few good page building plugins around that will help you, really jazz up a free theme. My friend Alina at the blogva.com, hers is a totally free theme and hers looks fab. She's just used a page building plugin to help get some fancy stuff on there. And I mentioned it, when talking about support and documentation, budget. If you don't have budget to buy a premium theme, then, look for a free theme. And there are some really fabulous free themes around. You can look within the WordPress directory itself, or I've come across a really cool site recently called justfreethemes.com, where you can actually search for themes that they've categorized as good for business. So there's loads and loads of options around. So even if you don't have the budget to buy a theme at the start, that doesn't mean your website's going to look naff. And then we have functionality. So if your site is going to have an online shop on it, then really you want to make sure that your theme can cope with that. But if actually you're building a site for an online membership, you don't really need to worry about whether or not your theme is compatible with an online shop. So you need to sit down and think about the features that you need from your website and the functionality from your theme that you'll need for it to help you get your site doing what it needs to do for you. So that's themes. Oh, did 2 clicks. Plugins. Now, I mentioned plugins earlier and how they're funky little apps that add add bits of functionality to your site. But where plugins are concerned, with great power comes great responsibility, to quote Yoda. Plugins are great, but too many can cause problems. So you might find that plugins might conflict with one another. They're not all created equal, but you'll also find that some aren't written. The code for them isn't quite as good as others. So try and keep the number of plugins you have to a minimum. There's no kind of hard and fast rule when it comes to number of plugins. Like I've got about 20. I usually have between 20 and 24 active plugins at a time. And then Corey Ashton, who is a great WordPress YouTuber, she recommends that you have a maximum of 6. And then there's also the guy known as Bob WP, who runs the Do the Woo WooCommerce podcast, and he has about 45 on his site. So there's no hard and fast rule. Just try and be sensible when you're choosing plugins to install on your site. It's also important to make sure that they're compatible with your version of WordPress. There's a plugin that I've used quite often called the WordPress editorial calendar that allows me to see my scheduled content in like a calendar view. And when I went to install it on a new site yesterday, I found that actually it's not been tested with my current version of WordPress, which made me think actually I probably don't want that plugin. And I've also gone and removed it from my other sites as well. Chances are it wouldn't be a problem, but in an ideal world, you want to make sure that your site's streamlined and that everything's, optimized and, up to date, and everything should definitely work with each other. So yeah, always check that the plugin is compatible with your version of WordPress, and it'll normally say. So don't think that, oh God, how do I check version compatibility of a plugin? I don't know. When you go and search for a plugin within the WordPress plugin directory, when you find the search results, it will say whether or not it's been tested with your version of WordPress. So don't panic. You don't have to go and do anything overly techy. It'll say. And I also say to look at the number of active downloads as well. So, and I sometimes feel a little bit bad saying this, because it might just be that a plugin's brand new, like released this morning, and that's why there are only 4 active downloads. But the number of active downloads is a really good indicator of how good a plugin is. So I think was it Yoast? I think Yoast is a search engine optimization plugin, has something like over 5 million active downloads. And it had like 26,000 reviews and an overall star rating of 5. So, these alone On its own, active downloads might not be the best indicator, but when you look at it, you look at the bigger picture with a load of other things, then it can be a good indicator of how good a plugin is and whether or not you want to install it on your site. Content. So on WordPress, there are two ways to add content. So you've got pages and posts. So pages are static content. So when we talk about static content, we just mean that content that isn't updated. So for a homepage, you'd use a page, not a blog post. And you can also not leave comments on pages, and also if anyone subscribes to the RSS feed of your website, pages will not be added to that as they are published. And then we have posts, which are referred to as like timely content. So people tend to write blog posts on current affairs is probably the wrong word, because current affairs kind of sounds like politics, but people write blog posts on things that are happening right now, or the information they know right now. And they're also added to what's called the blog roll. And the blog roll is basically a single page where blog posts are added to it in reverse chronological order. When you publish a blog post to your website, if anyone's following the RSS feed, that will be added to it. And also visitors can leave comments as well if they decide that they want to discuss what's going on. So if you got this far, thank you. Well done to you. As a thank you, I've got a little bundle of some freebies that I've got ready to go. I just need to put an email together and get them sent to you. But it's some useful printable PDF files that I've put together over the past 12 months that the Blog Genie's been going, I suppose. So you'll get a WordPress plugin checklist, a technical jargon cheat sheet, complete guide to Gutenberg, a site speed checklist, and my A to Z of blogging terms for beginners. So later on today, you will all get an email with links of where you can download these different files from. Now, I hope you don't mind, but I have a new product that I would like to talk to you about. And it's called WordPress Website in a Weekend. And it's your website building Bible. Don't let fear of tech stop you from building an online home for your business. So the 3 steps that I've talked about during this presentation, I have a brand new online course that will take you through each different step in more detail, and you'll have tutorial videos to kind of take you through. So, myth number 1. People say it's not possible to build a website for your business in a weekend. And I say, yes, it is. And I can show you how. Myth number 2. People say it's expensive to build a website for your business. And earlier on in this presentation, I actually showed you that you could probably build a website for about £6, So you can start a WordPress website for less than £20. Definitely you can. And myth number 3, people think that you need to be really techie to build a website. But WordPress Website in a Weekend gives you all the tools and info you need to build a website for your business. So, what is it? It's basically an online course delivered over the space of a couple of days. It'll literally take you through the whole process of setting up a website. You know, you can decide, do you know what, today I want to start a website. Find this course and it will talk you through how to choose a domain name, how to choose hosting, and then how to set up the different elements. So once you've bought your hosting, make sure that WordPress is installed. Then make sure that your brand new domain name is pointing at the place where you've got your hosting. And then it'll take you through the different steps. So setting up your theme, making sure that it's secure, adding content, and a load more. This is what WordPress website in a weekend is. And, I say a weekend just for a bit of alliteration, really. It can be any couple of days. So how does it work? So it will be delivered to you via email that have downloadable PDFs, which will have like the theory behind what it is I'm talking about. And then it'll also have links to accompanying videos. So they'll have links to videos on YouTube that are unlisted, which means that only people that have the link will be able to see them. So basically, only people who have paid for the course will be able to see those videos on my YouTube channel. What's really great about it is that there's no time limit. So, you'll get the emails over a couple of days. You can download the PDFs for you to go through as and when. The videos will not be removed from YouTube. So you might buy the course today and decide, actually, in 6 months' time, today's the day that I'm going to start actually building my website. Literally, you could do a bit every week if you wanted. It's entirely up to you, because those of you who are mums will know that, the best laid plans and all that, you might sit down this morning, you might sit down this afternoon and say, right, I'm going to build myself a website. And then your kid throws up all over you, or they start coming out in chicken pox. They literally have the best timing, kids, don't they? And there'll also be a closed Facebook group that goes with it. So if you buy the course, you'll be eligible to join the free Facebook group, which I'll be in to answer any questions. If you've got any issues with something going on with the course, or something doesn't look quite like my video, or any questions, you'll be able to head into there and ask questions, and I'll be able to help you. When can you get it? Well, my friends, it will be live on Tuesday. So Tuesday, 23rd of April, 9 o'clock will be when the first email is sent out with the PDF download and the link to the YouTube video. But you can pre-order it today. Not only can you pre-order it today, but if you do buy it today, you will get some awesome free bonuses. So if you buy the course today, you will also get access to my Optimize to Maximize image optimization workshop, which is an online workshop that shows you how to make sure that your images are optimized for your site. So things like making sure that the images that you upload to your site are the right dimensions, and they've been compressed, and all this kind of stuff to make sure that images don't impact your site loading speeds. You'll also get lifetime access. So you'll get lifetime access to Optimize to Maximize, and you'll also get lifetime access to my brand new, and it's so brand new, I've not even listed it on my site yet, mailing list masterclass, which will take you through the process of setting up a mailing list and how to add the opt-in form for your mailing list to your website. Um, Mailing lists are so important to us businesses, and it's the only list of your followers that you actually own. So really important to have a mailing list, and if you can set one up as soon as your website's set up, then you've got a great chance of getting people to sign up to it. And you can buy it now at the following link. So bit.ly/weekend web. So just to reiterate, I've also just realised I've not told you how much it costs. So it costs £39, and that's the special price for the first 10 people who buy it. So if you buy it today and you're one of the first 10 people, you'll get the free bonuses. So you'll get the Optimize to Maximize Image Optimization Workshop worth just under 20 quid, and the Mailing List Masterclass worth just under 20 quid. So, you're getting combined value of 40 quid with the freebies for this brand spanking new course that will help you set up your website in a weekend for just £39. So one more time, if you want to buy this brand new course that's going to get you from no website to fully functioning website in less than 2 days, head over to bit.ly/weekend web, and you'll get the freebies as well. So thank you so much if you made it this far. Do you know what? I'm just actually going to type in that URL as well, which would probably be helpful. It's bit.ly/weekend web to pre-order this brand new course that launches. I've just launched it. That will go live on Tuesday. Does anyone have any questions? I realise that sometimes I get a little bit excited and a little bit carried away, and my mouth just starts going really, really quickly. Doesn't always make the best of sense when I'm live anyway. Well, if no one has any questions, I will let you go about your day. And just remember that the bonuses will only be live for today. Come midnight tonight, those bonuses will be gone. And once 10 people have bought this course, the cost will go up. So it's only £39 for the first 10 people who buy it. And if you buy it, you're effectively getting everything for like half price. So it's a great deal, and I might not offer it again. I think my husband thought I was a little bit crazy in offering all that free stuff. So if no one's got any questions, just to reiterate, I will send you your free bundle of downloads later on today as a thank you for showing up and supporting me. Have a great day.